Hello everyone, welcome back to the Wilderness Off-Road channel. Now today we're going to be unboxing some new suspension accessories. As you know, for those who have been following me for some time now, I have a 2016 3.6R. It's got some extra lbs inside that thing and a lot of weight on it, and I know that upgrading the suspension is something that I wanted to do. Now, before going all out on something super expensive, I wanted to try something else, and these are the SumoSprings from SuperSprings. These are a device that you kind of weave inside the coils of your stock suspension, and this is going to increase your carrying capacity, kind of reduce sway and vibrations, and just tighten it up a little bit more. Now, I have some pre-measurements of what my vehicle's kind of where the fenders are lying at the moment, and we'll show that in a bit. And then we'll put these on and show you how it has increased, and I also show that with the dirt bike mounted on the back. Now, I don't think on this channel I've showed my dirt bike being mounted on my Subaru, but that's something that I really wanted to get into more of. I've been dirt biking for a while now, but I just didn't quite have the best way to haul it until I installed my new Eco hitch, and now I can put a dirt bike carrier on the Subaru, and that allows me to bring that wherever I go. But with that dirt bike on the back, it really does bring down the rear of the Subaru. So anyways, let's unbox these two sets here. Now, if you go on SuperSprings website, they sell these SumoSprings. If you put in your vehicle, you will be suggested on which size to get. Otherwise, they have a really easy, straightforward directions on measuring your coils to get a size. So I have two sizes here. We've got the 1125s, which are the rear, and the 1225s, which are the front. Now, if you type in your vehicle, like for example, the Subaru Outback, you will get just a suggestion of the 1125s. They don't say anything about the 1225s. So if you measure your coils, you can get a set that fit the front as well. So this should be really beneficial, especially with the 3.6R having that heavier front end. But here are the SumoSprings, and what they do is, as you can see, they're pretty flexible, but they kind of weave into your coils right like that to really tighten them up. So you got your rears, and these will look the same, just a tad bit larger. And here are the fronts. So those will go like that up into your coil. And then you simply, I believe, I'll look over the directions, but I believe you just kind of zip tie them in place. They really shouldn't come out. Or at least maybe the old models you zip tied. These ones, I guess it looks like you don't. So you just kind of put them up in there. The hardest part of this install is going to be just kind of jacking up the Outback and putting the taking the tires off. I mean, that'll take longer than putting these in. So anyways, let's get to the install. I'll actually show you some before measurements here, and then we'll install it. Should be really straightforward, and we'll see how these perform. So let's get right into it. All right, guys, before putting on the dirt bike, I just want to get some preliminary measurements here of kind of what we're looking at for the space between the fender and the wheel before we put the SumoSprings in. Now, my offset on these tires are pretty big, so they do pop out further than your OEM tire. And the negative side of that is the bumper will actually hit this on bumps and stuff with the dirt bike. If you have an OEM wheel, it tucks in further, so it can actually go up into empty area up there. I mean, it goes up quite a ways. So that allows the OEM wheel to kind of not hit the fender. So my issue is with the suspension I have right now, which is the OEM suspension, and then with extra weight on the back, all my camping gear and everything, this gets pretty low. Any bumps that hit it will rub. So let's get this measurement here. Let's see, 30 inches and a quarter, it looks like. Front, we're right at 31 inches. So let's get the dirt bike on. I'll show you the measurements with that, and then we'll get to installing the SumoSprings and see how much that helps. So let's get this bike on. All right guys, so the bike is loaded up on the Subaru. Let's check these measurements now. Kind of see it already lowered down. We are just at 29 inches there. So we clearly went down there. And in the front, looks like we got a sweet lift on now. Looks like it, but I think we're measuring just about the same. 31 and a quarter, looks like. Looks like I gained a lot more than that, but I think once you drive the Subaru around a bit, the suspension will kind of squish down a little bit more in the rear as you go on a road trip. So, you know, right now this is maybe the best case scenario. My camping gear's not in there. I do have my drawer system in there. I do have the tent up on the roof, but that weight is more distributed. This is what the Subaru looks like without any aftermarket suspension or the SumoSprings. But let's get along with the day here, and we'll put those SumoSprings up in this vehicle. We have a set for the back and the front. So I'm gonna get this bike off and get to installing this suspension. All right guys, so here is one of the front coils. Now as you can see, it's pretty short. So we're gonna try to thread this in there. So you take your SumoSpring here. There's got a deeper groove in the bottom, a little shallower on the top, and then you simply can't do it while holding the camera, but it's just gonna you split them and weave right in there. So we're gonna try it here. It's gonna be pretty tight, but I think we'll be able to do it, but we'll find out here in a second. All right guys, so really threaded in very easily. Now right now, because of the suspension just kind of hanging, once it gets down on the ground, it'll pop into these grooves, I think. But as you can see, deeper groove on the bottom, shallower on the top, and it should fit pretty darn well. We'll get this tire back on, lower it down, and just kind of repeat for all the other 3 coils, and should be good. All right guys, so we're in the rear now. I'm gonna try to show you this the best I can. Here's the rear SumoSpring, deeper groove on the bottom, shallower on the top. Start it right down here. All right, this one's tight. Just slowly weave it in there. one's a lot tighter than the front. Getting there. So it's looking like they mentioned if it's too long, we may have to cut it. Kind of looks that way. So we'll cut this down a little bit so that it can fully sit in there perfectly. But now that one is quite a bit more of a fit than the front, that's for sure. But it looks like it's gonna work. Okay, we've trimmed her down. Get her in here. There we go. I just used a knife. Looks like it's about perfect. I'm curious if I'm gonna wanna actually just trim that just a tad bit more so that when the pressure comes down, that these won't be rubbing. Just find a really sharp knife and carefully slice it down. Okay, squeeze her back in there. There we go. I think that'll do. And guys, that's the rear and the front. You're gonna repeat on the other side, and you should be good to go. We'll get some measurements after getting this in. So let's get the other. Let's get this thing finished. All right, so all the SumoSprings are installed on the Outback. Now I'm gonna do a pre-measurement before they have gone out for a drive. I believe they will settle a little bit. So before that, let's measure here. We're right at about 31.5 inches on the rear, and on the front we are sitting just, we are just under 32 inches. So right off the bat, from the numbers that I remember measuring this morning, that is up a little bit. I'll put up on the screen what that is. But once I go for a drive, I'm gonna remeasure, and then I'll put the dirt bike on the rear and measure one more time. All right guys, so I've had the SumoSprings installed for almost 2 weeks now, and let me tell you, I can really tell a difference. It's a lot more, just feels tighter. The suspension, the sway is definitely not as noticeable anymore. But let's measure these gaps before getting the dirt bike back on here. I'm in the same location, car is loaded down the same, and we'll start with the rear here. Before, I believe it was right at 30, somewhere around there. Okay, we are about 30 3/4, and up front we were at 31, I believe. And we are just still at 31 there, which is fine. I'm not too worried about the front as much as I am about the rear. So let's get the bike on the hitch mount and we'll remeasure one more time. But I can tell you right away, I noticed a difference with the ride of the vehicle. You can't see them from this angle, but it definitely did feel tighter. So let's get the bike on and remeasure. All right guys, so the Outback is measuring just under 30 inches. So that is a little bit of an improvement there. And let's go to the front. It's still up about 31 and a half. I think it was 31 and 3/4 or something like that. So it is down a little bit from before. So I would say that that is a good improvement for me. And the ride with the dirt bike and the SumoSprings is also quite the benefit as well. The ride is a lot smoother, a lot tighter. I gained just a little bit of extra space and tow capacity or weight capacity for the Outback. So so far I think it was definitely worth the upgrade for the SumoSprings. It's an affordable way to increase your current OEM suspension. So if you guys are interested, check them out. I really think since it was so easy, anyone can install it, and it does help the ride of the Outback. I think it's pretty much suitable for almost anyone, and anyone could do it. So if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Feel free to subscribe. It's free and it would help me out a ton. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.